Hi, welcome back. So today we're going to be doing another video of building the Extreme Demon layout. Yeah, it's been a little while. And the reason it's been a little while is because it's been a little bit hard for me to keep motivation with this, to be completely honest with you. And the reason for that is because I just wasn't super happy with how it was turning out. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay itself, I am super happy with. I think it's fun to play, I'm really proud of how the gameplay itself has turned out, but the level itself just wasn't feeling how I wanted it to feel, in a way. And I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think most of that comes down to the structuring. Because let's be honest, the structuring, it's all over the place. We got this first part, which is kind of cool, probably hard to decorate, but it's kind of neat. But then you get to the drop and you got this dual part, which is like its own structuring, and then quickly transitions into this wave part, quickly transitions into this, to this, to this. It's just completely different parts right next to each other. You get like 4 of them in one frame. It's ridiculous. So I've decided that today I'm going to be redoing all of the structuring. And this is going to be one not done with live commentary, but done with commentary after the fact because, well, this was the commentary as I was doing it. Maybe I'll have this one separate still, so that's a separate structure, and then this can be a structure, and then kind of tie that off as one structure, just like so. And then kind of separate these structures like this. Yeah, I ended up just recording like an hour of that. It wasn't that exciting, so I figured it would probably be better if I do commentary after the fact. But of course, before we get going, please consider dashing right into that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. So let's start with the pre-drop. I decided that the first step of doing this was to select all of the blocks and spikes and orbs and all that kind of stuff that was integral to the gameplay, stuff that I could not remove, otherwise the level physically wouldn't be able to be played. After doing that, I just copy pasted it, put it on a new layer, and then moved the old structuring up. So I still have it if I want to refer back to it or just kind of look at it for past reference, but it's out of the way and I can start fresh with brand new structuring. Let's test if everything still works. No. Forgot this, bro, forgot this. Okay, I also missed a portal here, nice. From there, I started by buffing the ship part because I feel like it wasn't very hard. So now it's actually time to start reworking the structures, and this was a little bit difficult just because I had some things like spaced off grid a little bit just to improve the gameplay. And I did this because I figured, well, the structuring is done, so I may as well just shift things around just a little bit, just make it feel perfect with the sync and everything, right? Well, the structures weren't done, were they? The way I wanted these structures to feel is I wanted it to feel a little bit more open towards the beginning, and slowly as the part went on and as it got towards the drop, I wanted it to get tighter and tighter. And this essentially meant just closing off structures and making the structures bigger and more intrusive the closer to the end of the part we got. And that was kind of difficult with the wave part because I had to kind of expand things out a little bit, make the structures less obtrusive in that part because it was quite tight there, right? So that was kind of difficult as well, but I eventually got it to work pretty well, I think. Is that like perfect space for that? Oh, I am so close to being good. Come on. So from here, I decided to skip straight to the ship part, which of course will be the tightest part of this whole beginning. Right at the end here, it's basically Cognition styled in a way. I mean, the gameplay is still the gameplay, but it's as Cognition styled as I could do. And then it slowly gets a little bit more open, but it's still really, really tight in that whole ship part, right? Get another spiked slope up in here, up in here. I'm gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. Yes, that ship part feels awesome. I love that so much. Now that I was quite evidently pretty satisfied with the ship part, it was time to move on to the part in between the wave and the ship. This was basically just a job of trying to blend how open the structures felt in the wave part to how closed off they felt in the ship part. And by this point, I felt like I was getting pretty decent at this. Got that perfect space. Oh, yes. I love that so much. And from here, I basically just went through this entire first part and tweaked a bunch of things. Made some parts feel more open, made some parts feel more tight, all that kind of stuff, right? And before I knew it, the part was just about done. Okay, so I'd call this first part just about complete. So here you can see what the gameplay and structures used to be. It was very different to what it is now, which, speaking of what it is now, here it is as it is now. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I really do think that it starts off a lot more open and then slowly gets tighter and tighter and tighter all the way up until this end bit. It might not look like it because this has a big open space down here just because of, you know, these temporary blocks, but I really do think that it gets tighter and tighter throughout the whole thing, as opposed to these old structures where it's like, it's relatively open, it gets really tight here, then it's super open here. I don't know, I think this gets nice and tighter, and I'm just overall, I'm a lot happier with the structures in this part, I'd say. Alright, so now it's time to move to the drop. Now, I started by doing the exact same thing as I did with the pre-drop, that being selecting all of the blocks and just gameplay elements in general that are like integral to the gameplay itself. Copy pasting those, putting them on another layer, and moving the old structures up. Side note, I also made a copy with the old structures just because, I don't know, might be interesting to keep. And so now it's time to start the restructuring once again. I started with the duel here, and I had to do a lot of play testing going between just playing the level and building parts because I wanted to make it look as tight as I possibly could while still being around easy extreme difficulty. And that's because for this entire drop part, I really want to go with just tight. I want it to be super tight. I feel like that would fit this part of the song super well. Because to me, this part of the song feels very tunnel visioned, you know? You're just kind of going along, you're not really thinking about stuff, you're just doing, right? And so I want the gameplay to kind of reflect that feeling in a way, and I think I did that decently well with this. And then it was the wave part, which I tweaked the gameplay of quite a bit actually, because I feel like it didn't sync that well to the music. You had to click it like slightly slower than with the music and start a bit later and end a bit later, and I don't know, I wasn't really happy with it, so I just altered that a little bit. And of course adjusted the structuring appropriately, so it still looks really tight, right? I might also change this at a later date as well because it's a little bit boring, but I don't know, we'll see, maybe it'll grow on me. Then the UFO part was kind of more of the same, really. Most of the parts in these are more of the same. I tweaked some of the jump wall placements a little bit, but for the most part it was just making the structuring really tight around the path that you need to go. I'm literally trying to make this as physically tight as I possibly can, with it still being a reasonable difficulty, of course. Is that possible? I don't even know, dude. And now for the ball part. This was just 5 jump orbs. It wasn't really that interesting, so I actually removed a couple of them and replaced them with platforms. One of them was a slope here, like this. And I feel like that just felt a lot more tighter than having to create space around the orb for you to hit it late, you know? It's better to just have you click on a platform. And I figured it made the gameplay a little bit more varied as well. Then I spent way longer than I should have just trying to go from the drop and came to the conclusion that this is hard, dude. I've made a hard level. Yeah, riveting commentary, I know. While playtesting though, I was specifically worried about this in the UFO part. Having those spikes there made it so it was hard to click that orb late, and that was a little bit more difficult than I wanted it to be. But if I got rid of them, I was worried you could just slide down this slope and it would act as kind of a black orb anyway and you'd survive, but luckily... No, you die, yes. So now to move on to the robot and ship parts, which this was a lot of the same, to be honest. I don't think I really tweaked much gameplay of this. I buffed the ship part a little bit. I especially, like, with this last straight fly, I made it get tighter towards the end because I thought that would be a little bit better. A little bit more interesting as well, and also just fit the song a little bit better. But yeah, for the most part, this was just making it tighter, making the structures, like, follow pretty closely around everything and kind of feel cognition styled in a way. I know I'm using that term a lot, but it's the best way I can think of to describe it, right? I don't know. And then soon enough, all of the structuring for the whole drop was done. Okay, boom. That is that structuring done. Yeah, this is the old structuring. Wow. That looks so different. Man, no wonder I didn't like this. What the hell is this, bro? I'm so much happier with this. It's all like a very similar style. This is a little bit different, but just because of the uniform shape of it, it like couldn't be that similar to like these other parts. And this is quite different as well, just because of the nature of the gameplay. But all these parts are quite similar. Yeah, I really like that. Okay, awesome. So I guess that is all of the structuring done. What I'm gonna do, actually, is delete all of this since I have another copy now with all of the old bits of structuring. Select all of you and gone. Okay. So I'm gonna do a quick no-clip run of both of them and let's take a look at some of the differences. Man, yeah, I can see why I wasn't that happy with it. It was just, it's all over the place and it's a bit boring. And now the new one. Yeah, it's definitely, it's so much different, dude. It's so much different. And I really like it. I'm actually really, really proud of this now. I'm really proud of how this structuring has turned out, and I think it fits this part of the song so much better. So yeah, I guess that is it for this video. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I know that most of it was like not live commentary, and I apologize for that. This was just like a lot of really mundane stuff, and it wasn't that exciting, to be honest. So I thought it would be a lot better in the form of retrospective commentary. That is a really cool term. Retrospective commentary. I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. All right. But I hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless. Hopefully it isn't too short either. There was a lot of building time involved with this, but I feel like it was a lot of really repetitive stuff, so I don't know how well I'm going to be able to script around it, but we'll have to see. But yeah, let me know if you're enjoying this series. I'd like to continue it more often now, probably, now that I'm like actually happy with how the level's turning out and the direction of it, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.